The age of handheld devices is on the rise with so many devices to choose from like Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch, ROG Ally, Lenovo Go, MSI Claw, of which I have already made a dedicated review of the Asus ROG Ally. And now I have another handheld gaming console with us, the MSI Claw. Let's find out in this video how great or not so great is the MSI Claw, how much of a performance does one can expect from it, how does it compare it to its nearest competition, the Asus ROG Ally, in terms of build and performance, how does the new Ultra series compare to the AMD Z1 chips, are handheld devices a better idea than gaming laptops, and finally, is MSI Claw worth the buck? This device was given to me by the Creative Laptops exclusive MSI store in Ludhiana, who had faith in me to make a review of it. They have the best deals on MSI products and a very well guided staff, so make sure to check them out before you buy. Contact details in the description. Talking about the specifications, this unit comes packed with the all new Ultra 5 135H with 14 cores and 18 threads, 16 GB of LPDDR5 RAM clocked at 4600 MHz, 512 GB of Gen 4 NVMe, but it does not have a dedicated GPU but comes packed with a great iGPU, the Intel Arc, which is capable of handling AI tasks with its new neural processor unit. It comes in one more variant with Ultra 7 CPU, with cost about 6,000 more for a 512 GB variant and about 10,000 more for 1 TB variant, which in my opinion is a preferred choice as storage is gonna be a massive hassle on this device. Now let's take a look at the build of the MSI Claw. I really like the all black color theme on the Claw, black body all over, black buttons, black joysticks, no contrasting white or so, except for the RGB lights of course, which comes with all red lights when powered up. Of course, you can change the colors on the joysticks and the ABXY buttons in the MSI Center M with a few RGB effects to choose from. It has a very clean and minimalistic sort of design. It has an all plastic body which feels surprisingly premium to hold. It has these ABXY keys, a D-pad and an Xbox style layout for the two joysticks. It's got a firm and responsive trigger buttons, which while others feel are not that great, I saw no issue with them. It's got magnetic joysticks, so more accurate and longer life, as other joysticks have reports of joystick being sticky to one side over time. It has dimensions of 29 by 120 by 2.1 centimeters and weighs around 680 grams, which is slightly bigger and heavier than ROG Ally, but its weight distribution and ergonomic design is so great, it actually feels better to hold as compared to the Ally. It has these thick bezels on the screen, which is not ideal. However, it has the best grip of all handhelds I have ever experienced, other than that of Legion Go that I haven't experienced.
Emotional damage.
It has smooth vibrations which feel great while gaming. It has a big air intake vent on the bottom, air exhaust vent on the top that do not bother while gaming, and it has two fans on the back to manage the thermals. Now, it has the best in segment 53 watt-hour battery which gives a backup of 1.5 hour to 2 hour of gaming and 6 hour of regular usage. It comes with a 65 watt charger, charging 0 to 100 in 80 minutes. It's got two speakers facing up which have good loudness and are not covered by the palms while holding. It's got rarest Wi-Fi 7, so if you have the connection and the modem to support it, it can get up to 5.8 gigabits, and it's one of the few devices in laptop and especially in handheld segments to have Wi-Fi 7, and it has Bluetooth 5.4, which again is a very rare as of now. And yeah, it also has a fingerprint sensor on the power button with the support of Windows Hello. Talking about the screen, it has an IPS level 7-inch Full HD screen with a native resolution of 1920 by 1080p, but has a glossy screen which is a bit uncomfortable to hold, a 10-point multi-touch screen, a 16 by 9-inch aspect ratio, 100% sRGB color gamut, 500 nits brightness, a refresh rate of 120Hz, and again it has thick bezels, so not a very immersive experience in the beginning. It's got all the ports on the top with a power button that doubles as a fingerprint scanner, and LED notification light, only one USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port which supports display up to 8K 60Hz and PD charging up to 65 watts as tested. It can also be charged with a 20 volt output power bank. Also, it has one audio mic combo jack and one micro SD card reader. Okay, the big problem with the ports is that it has only one port, that too Type-C port, which can be a bit challenging as you can either connect a charger or a pen drive or an external monitor at one time, which is counterintuitive, as if I want to connect an external monitor to play a game, I sure as hell want to be plugged in to get the max performance for a maximum amount of time, which is not possible because, well, again, it has only one port. So one will have to buy a Type-C hub to get the max out of the device. Now, it has 4 buttons that require some explaining. The upper 2 buttons act as the console's select and start buttons like a regular controller in any game. The lower 2 buttons have their own functions. The one on the left opens up MSI Center M, which is basically the performance and interface customization software to control the device in terms of user scenario to choose various performance modes, control mode to choose from console mode or desktop mode, which is a great option to have, as in console mode you do not get any cursor and it can be actually controlled as a regular gaming console. But if someone wants to have a PC experience, one can choose the desktop mode, which brings in the cursor to have easy navigation. Next, it has a quick setting editor to edit the quick settings, about which we will talk about in detail, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi settings, some more settings like RGB lighting, sound profiles by Namek Audio, media gallery, and device updates. One great thing I felt about the MSI Center M is that it shows all the installed games and programs in an organized and stacked interface, just like a Steam Deck. So if you like the simplistic interface of a Steam Deck, you can ignore the Windows part and focus here. So you can get the best of both worlds by this device acting as only a gaming console with console mode on using only the MSI Center M, or you can go into the desktop mode and have a feeling of a full-fledged desktop. Now, the button on the right shows the shortcuts to manage and use the device using quick settings like switching between desktop mode or control mode, changing the brightness, sound levels, a power button function, a function to show desktop or to show all windows, to end a task, to take a screenshot, to record the screen, to change the user scenario, to bring up the on-screen keyboard, free up memory, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi settings, real-time monitoring showing 3 cases which are simple FPS and battery, CPU and TTL power, CPU usage, GPU usage, and fan RPM. It has 2 macro buttons on the bottom which are very tactically placed, making it very easy to use and can be programmed to perform a defined function, which is very useful to gain a competitive edge in esport games. Talking about the upgradability, it has only one M.2 NVMe slot of 2230 form factor and only one M.2 Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card. But upgrading this is not easy as they lie below the fans, so it requires a fair bit of more disassembly. I ran some performance benchmarks which yielded the following results. Geekbench scored 10,234 in multi-core and 2230 in single-core performance. 3D Mark Time Spy scored 8,134 CPU, 3378 GPU, and 3696 overall score. I compared the results with the Ultra 7 variant and ROG Ally Z1 and Z1 Extreme. And before going further, I would like to point that the results of Ultra 7 variant and the Z1 Extreme variant have been borrowed from some very reputed sources in the tech world, as I currently do not have the Ultra 7 and Z1 Extreme. So the data of the Ultra 5 and ROG Ally Z1 have been tested by me, but the results of Ultra 7 and Z1 Extreme have not been tested by me personally. So continuing, although Geekbench single score performance was identical in all the devices, but multi-core performance was better with MSI Claw generally. Even 3D Mark Time Spy scores paint the same picture with Ultra 5 and Ultra 7 beating the Z1. This would obviously lead one to conclude that the Intel Ultra processor is performing better than the Z1 chips, hence the MSI Claw is better than the ROG Ally. But hold your horses, as you are going to be surprised with what the real game test shows. Here are some of the test conditions in which all the games were tested, and here are the final results. First, let's talk about the temps. The temperatures were decently managed at about 70 to 75 degrees while playing games for about 1 hour, and I did not feel uncomfortable at any point, so no issues with the temps. And here are the results of all these games, giving about 30 to 35 FPS in these heavy titles. If it were a laptop giving these FPS, I would definitely be concerned. But for a handheld device, these are about the best you can expect at recommended settings. Surprisingly, it did not feel bad at all while playing these games, except for a few dips in performance once in a while. Remember, you can always tune down the settings to get better FPS, and since it has a very small screen screen compared to a laptop, the difference would be far less noticeable. Now comparing the results with other handhelds, the MSI Claw with Ultra 7, ROG Ally with Z1 and Z1 Extreme, we see a different picture entirely. The performance of Ultra 5 and Ultra 7 is about the same in all the games. There is hardly any difference in the FPS. The little difference that we see is within the margin of error. And comparing with Z1 and Z1 Extreme, the performance is far better than Ultra 5 and Ultra 7 of Claw. RDR2 is the only game in which Intel Ultra series shines more than the AMD Z1. I am surprised how in performance benchmarks Ultra series was performing better, but in real game tests AMD was performing far better. It feels that the Ultra series was tuned specifically to perform good in these benchmarks but failed to deliver in the real game tests. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Or am I? I want to give one tip here. Whichever console you play, be it Claw or Ally, it's highly recommended to set the frame rate to 30 or 45 in high settings and 60 at low settings in order to achieve a more stable performance and having a better battery life. Now let's see some comparison charts. First, we will compare Ultra 5 with AMD Ryzen Z1 APU. Clearly, AMD takes the lead in raw performance if you ignore the synthetic benchmarks. Although Ultra 5 will last longer as it does have a bigger battery. But battery management in AMD is better than the Ultra CPU. Comparing the MSI Claw with ROG Ally Z1 on the base of looks, they both look about the same, with some claiming Claw to be an Ally clone. But I differ from this statement as 1. Claw is slightly bigger than the Ally, 2. Claw has more ergonomic design than the Ally, and 3. Claw has magnetic joysticks. Now Asus Ally is selling for 50,000 at the time of making this video, while the MSI Claw is selling for 80,000 for Ultra 7 variant and 70,000 for the Ultra 5 variant. I would strongly suggest to go with the Ally instead of the MSI Claw, as performance is more and the price is less than the Claw. But if you prioritize total battery backup and overall build, I would suggest to go towards MSI Claw because it might be lesser compared to the Ally, but it still delivers pretty cool performance on its own. Now there is a general perception that for 70,000 or 80,000 one can get a gaming laptop that will outperform the handhelds. Well, handheld gaming consoles, although performing the same function of gaming and some even being Windows based, are more focused on portability and is a completely different segment. It lies somewhere between mobile gaming and laptop gaming. I mean, try to game on a laptop while standing in a line or carrying a laptop to a vacation for some light gaming. These consoles are focused on light gaming anywhere and anytime. And since it is a Windows-based console, it has the added support of variety of softwares and can be used for productive tasks like Word or Excel. It has better file and storage management. It has more tweaking options than any other non-Windows based console. So basically it's a super portable PC. Also, I think Windows-based handhelds are better for media consumption than any phone or a laptop, as it has a bigger screen than a phone and all the benefits of a Windows laptop like streaming, watching downloaded movies, etc., but in a very smaller package. However, it does have its negatives, like it will give less battery backup than a mobile. It has only one port, that too a Type-C port. That can be a bit challenging as you can either connect a charger or a pen drive or an external monitor at one time. Now, should you get the Ultra 5 or the Ultra 7 variant of the Claw? Comparing both the versions, I would definitely suggest buying the Ultra 5 version, as the performance of the Ultra 5 and Ultra 7 is about the same as you have seen in the benchmark. So save your 10,000 bucks and buy a good USB hub or a cover for the handheld console instead. So I hope all this information was useful, and keep in mind that all these results are valid with the current level of updates as on making this video. It is possible with future updates the results might change. If you found the information shared in this video useful, consider liking the video, which tells the YouTube algorithm to show it more, and consider subscribing for more stuff like this.